明朝嘉靖年间的
The
故事。
story of Zhang Cong.
这个人是真人真事，你去上网去搜呢，能搜到啊，叫张聪。
A prominent court official during the Jiajing region of the Ming Dynasty, who served as minister.
时候啊，是分2级啊，过去可能第1级就是乡试，乡试呢考中了叫举人，你只要考试合格叫举人，中了举了。
Passing the provisional exam earned you the title of Jiren. As long as you passed the exam, you were called a Jiren. After becoming a Jiren, if you became an officer, there was no direct connection between Jiren and a court officer. This is just the initial level of educated people. Because at that time, there were few scholars. The country was poor. There were few scholars. So what can a Jiren do? You may switch to studying medicine or work in a rural country, doing some minor tasks such as clerk, a registrar for real estate transfer, or helping to resolve small dispute, serving as a member of a minor court, basically a low-ranking officer. This is what a Jiren does. But if you want to become a high-ranking officer in the imperial court, I hope you become wiser and more intelligent before taking the exam again. So during each dynasty examination period, the titles used were somewhat different. In the Ming Dynasty, the title were as follows. So the higher level exams were held in the capital city at the time, Beijing. It was also called the palace examination. The exam took place in the emperor's official palace. The emperor and some trusted high officials supervised the exam. So it must be very difficult for you to cheat. So why are the exams held in the imperial palace? It's because the emperor directly selects talented individuals. Many farmers are illiterate, but scholars want to serve the emperor. Serving the country is essentially serving the state power. Therefore, a person must be very knowledgeable. Only then can they serve the entire society. So this system is justified. Zhang Cong also roughly passed the exam successfully. The most basic exam was the Xiu Chai. After passing that, he would take the Jingshi exam. This gentleman is quite interesting. His family had a little money and he go to Beijing for the exam. He became so well known that even the landlord and shop owners recognized him. The people staying at the inn too. If he failed the exam, he was too embarrassed to go home. So he would stay for half a year or even a whole year. Every time he returned, he still stayed at that inn. Back then, there wasn't many inns around because there were fewer tourists. This gentleman too, I wouldn't say he's the dumbest though. He failed the exam 6 or 7 times in a row. Alright, taking it slowly, how far did he get? He started in his 20s and kept trying until he was 47. This is what you call a top-tier candidate, right? A hardcore veteran. So his classmates were all young people in their 20s and 30s. Whenever they saw him, everyone thought, here comes the teacher, but no, he's just another candidate like them. It's not that he's not smart, but he had bad luck, making excuse for himself. Actually, intelligence is definitely something to consider. One day he had an awakening. There were only 2 months left before the exam. He suddenly went to the Buddhist temple to pray. He received a kind of inspiration. Immediately, he went back to pack his bag. Everyone around him, the egg seller, the vegetable seller, the food vendors, all know him. So he said, fellow villagers and friends, I'm getting ready to leave. They asked, where are you leaving? He said, I'm too embarrassed to keep taking the exam. You know, my 6th grandchild has already been born. I'm already a grandpa. I'm done testing. Enough of the exam. I'm not taking anymore. I'm going home. Because he's too embarrassed. He said, how do I face my grandchildren? In order not to feel embarrassed anymore, he decided to stop taking the exam. How embarrassing. So to avoid further embarrassment and in order not to disgrace the ancestor, he decided not to get exam. But the next day, when he was about to leave, at the door there was an old fortune teller. His surname was Xiao O Xiao. He said, "Hey, O Zhang, stop. Let me take another look at you. Come, sit down. Don't be alarmed. Give me 3 minutes and I'll examine you carefully again." So he looked at him up and down. So this fortune teller, surname is Xiao, commonly known as Xiao Ban Xian. But he's not an ordinary fortune teller. So what kind of person is he? He works right here, within the Beijing government, specifically within the central government. Nowadays, you call him a supervisory officer. So he keeps an eye on people, especially the high-ranking official he dislikes. Then he wrote a complaint letter to the emperor about the person. So they do not have enough. The government did not pay him enough, so he worked part-time. After, so he set up a store. So at that time, the government didn't have any rules against setting up stores. So street vending has a long history in China. So after work, he'll just set up a store, and there are 3 characters written on the sign above. It's called Xiao Ban Xian. It's his name. But his official title was Xiao Yu Shu. His surname was Xiao. So he spent his spare time doing fortune telling. He's really skilled. He's accurately predicted the future of several celebrities. So when he saw Zhang Cong about to pack up and go home, he stopped him and said, "Luckily, I caught you in time." He took a closer look of old Zhang. He said, "If you leave now, it will be a huge loss. Just like your stock, which went from $1 to $150 in no time. If you tear up your stock certificate at this moment, wouldn't you say your loss would be significant?" So he said, "Do not be deceptive." He said, "You don't think I'm that old, do you? Right? I'm about to lose my old teeth soon. By now, my 6th grandchild has been born. Don't make fun of me. You're just teasing me to pass time, aren't you?" He said, "How about I give you 2 silver coins? Stop messing with me. Everyone else is gathering around to watch the joke." He said, "I'm not, but I don't have to make money off you, okay? I'll do it for free. But in the future, you have to send me more money." He said, "Even so, it's up to you to decide. So you mean I can pass the exam?" Xiao Ban Xian, in pursuit of the ultimate truth, he is also a very dedicated fortune teller. He carefully calculated it 7 or 8 times. He said, "If I dare to use my Xiao Ban Xian's reputation as a guarantee, you will definitely pass the exam this time and get admitted." So is old Zhang so lacking in confidence? He failed the exam 7 times before. He said, in the future, you'll be working right beside the emperor. Do you know what rank an official has when working next to the emperor? What kind of status does that position hold? Usually those working beside the emperor exclude eunuchs. Eunuchs don't really hold any official post. Eunuchs, emperors, consorts, and maids aren't considered official. So we are talking about former government officials. There are usually no more than 3 officials in front of the emperor. This is called having power that dominates the world. So these 3 people hold all the power of the Ming Dynasty. This is what you would call what was referred to as the cabinet. Even now, we call them cabinet members.
把这个当时老张忽悠的鼻血差点冒出来。这真的假的？这说话开始颤抖啊。
So old Zhang was so stunned that he nearly had a nosebleed. He said, "Are you sure? Is this for real?" His voice began to tremble as he spoke. He said, "If it's true, I will kowtow to you. When I see you, I'll give you 8,000 taels of silver. I sold my house. I have to give you something. I told you, don't say things like that. When the time comes, I'll have to give you money. I'll have to flatter you. Say you're amazing." So old Zhang was moved. He said, "Could this be real?" So just hold on for 2 or more months, and there will be results. You have endured for 21 years. Can't you hold on for just 2 more months? That's true. This stock has surged so dramatically. Why would I tear it up, right? So he said, "I'll listen to you. I'll just keep it and take the test. Is there any method or tricks?" There's no tricks at all. Just take the test confidently. Take the test however you're supposed to. This is when your luck arrives. No one can stop it. In the end, he really took the test and passed. So old Zhang passed the exam this time. So he ranked 71st. Is that a high score? High? Not really. Out of 100 candidates, he ranked 78. If divided into 3 groups, he would be in the 3rd group. That means he's in the tail end, right? More like the lower leg. This score isn't very high. Even though he took the exam for 21 years, that doesn't mean he wasn't destined for it. The person who controls the power of the world is definitely not the one who scored the highest on exams. Those who score the highest rarely rule the entire world, because the top scorer only think about how to get the best result. They don't think about ruling the world, right? No matter what, old Zhang passed the exam. He didn't do very well. Because he didn't score very high, there's no one with higher authority to support him. No central leaders think highly of him or gives him a hand. Because even if... So at that time, no one cares about him. The Ming Dynasty government at that time had a history. When the Ming Dynasty was just established, its capital was in Nanjing, which is today's Nanjing city in Jiangsu province. Nanjing is a major city in the age, so Jing means the capital city. It's a major city on the edge of the Yangtze River. Then, after several decades, after Zhu Yuanzhang's 4th son, Zhu Di, became emperor, he established the Ming Dynasty's northern capital in Beijing. But how did he arrange the situation in Nanjing? So what's the status like? So he kept the former capital, Nanjing, as a backup capital. This approach was quite good. As a backup capital, it functions with 2 sets of government roles and related personnel. The most capable official were placed in Beijing, the one currently managing this country. It was placed in Beijing, so the backup official, they were stationed in Nanjing. Nanjing also has various departments. The ministers and related staff were the same. But the real power is still in Beijing. So this part of the system was inspired by Song Dynasty. During the Song Dynasty, everyone knows there's a Northern Song and Southern Song. So the Northern Song was eventually conquered. by the Liao kingdom. After its fall, the southern song emerged. So he refers to this part and say, if something happened in Beijing, I still have a central administrative system in Nanjing, so the country won't be destroyed. Having such a backup plan is actually quite good. Zhang Cong had no one in the court. He was also quite old. No one cared about him. So at the age of 47 or 48, Zhang Cong, he was sent off to Nanjing to serve as a minor official in the Ministry of Personnel at rank 8. There's no one lower than him, although he passed the exam in the palace. Because no one in the court needed him, he was sent to Nanjing. He had no power, but enough time. With nothing to do and no authority, he just idled away his days. He's still very studious, and he took more time to read books. We don't know exactly what ancient text he studied, but it's a matter of preference. So he read all kinds of books. It was probably written by Confucius or others. So in the past, during the cave era, people only know who the mother was. They had no idea who the father was. The cave was dark. At night, it was even darker, so no one knew who the father was. I'm talking about this concept of ethics. Once two people officially married, it becomes clear whose father is this, whose grandfather is this, right? So he studied ritual studies. At this time, the rightful emperor of the Ming Dynasty, the previous emperor, passed away, and the new emperor took over. The late emperor was called Zhengde Emperor. The Zhengde Emperor lived to about 30 years old before he died. The emperor spent nearly half his life indulging in pleasures. He had no heirs and never had any children. The palace had a large harem of women, but none of them bore him any children. I don't know the reason. It might be due to his illness or health problem. He simply couldn't have children. He's recorded in history. Especially he was like a normal teenager today. Many palace youths were studious. But he was different, playful and mischievous. For example, when someone caught a leopard, he said, "Bring it to me. I will find a cage in the palace and keep the leopard." I even heard he once caught a crane. He raised immortal cranes in the palace. Anyway, he finds all sort of ways to have fun. He's very skilled. But he is also a great emperor. Having fun reflects a young person's curiosity about the world. It also shows a thirst for learning. He was the first Ming Dynasty emperor to lead a journey to the south of the Yangtze River. He wanted to break free from the palace and travel south for legions. All the ministers and various officials, upon learning this, set off to follow him. For example, the government of Shandong province, the government said, "Go back, I don't welcome you at all. It's safer for you to return to your palace. If something happened to you here with me, what am I supposed to do? You should just go back. Go back." Going from province to province, being driven away everywhere. Fun, isn't it? Look at Emperor Qianlong's southern tour, grand and glorious, collecting both money and concubines. Wherever he went, people would block the way. Because historically, everyone was worried about what would happen once the emperor come out. What are they going to do if something goes wrong? So the official concerns weren't without reasons, right? They think that he should stay in the capital and properly manage the country. So one time he accidentally fell into a ditch. After being pulled out, he became seriously ill. Not long after, in less than half a year, he passed away. But the most regrettable thing is after he died, he has no children to carry on his legacy. So once he died, his successor immediately faced trouble. Under imperial rule, no one. For example, if I'm the most powerful minister in the court, I would let my son take the position. That's not allowed. It would mean the destruction of the entire clan. So no one would be happy about it. So he's a descendant of Zhu Yuanzhang. So they must find the descendant of the old Zhu's family. Which one is a genuine? So after Emperor Zhengde passed away, they searched around and they found his cousin, who later became Jiajing's emperor. Not his son, but his cousin. Essentially his grandfather's cousin. So during the time, the Jiajing emperor came to Beijing to take the throne. Taking this position, everyone needs to understand the context of that era. To be honest, if you have power, you can't sit there just like a fool. You can't hold back your language or your thoughts, especially when it concerns your personal interests. So when power is great, no one is afraid of anyone. That's why the new emperor, Emperor Jiajing, was only 15 years old. Little boy, such a young, handsome lad. This little boy was very cunning. No wonder his ancestors was Zhu Yuanzhang. So his intelligence is just as sharp as that of a 75-year-old in this court, the official of the Beijing Imperial Palace. So, the Prime Minister of the previous emperor's cabinet, the most powerful man, named Yang Tianhe, he's known as Minister Yang. This high-ranking official finally showed his power and authority. He's a kid from the countryside, he thought. I'm already over 70 years old, and you are just 15, younger than my grandson. So how could I possibly take you seriously? So he was thinking, you only claim to be a descendant of the old Zhu family. Since your family holds so much power, he didn't even regard this young emperor as important. He thought, who do you think you are? You have to follow my order. If you do not do that, you will not even be able to be an emperor. So all arrangements must be made by him. So official Yang would take the arrangement. So back then, the emperor must enter his palace, which is the Forbidden City. The gate used was called the Crown Prince Gate. The Crown Prince Gate is only for the son of the deceased emperor. Only they are allowed to pass through this gate. So this young emperor, Jiajing, is only 15 years old, still quite young. So he passed through the throne. He said, I'm an emperor, I must enter through the main gate, called the Zhenyang Gate. But you make me go through a side gate. That gate is for his son. This is completely against the rules. So official Yang said, just let him go. Being emperor is already good enough. Why do you even care which gate I use? The little emperor said, all right, I won't be emperor anymore. You choose someone else. There was no way. So in the end, it becomes... He said, I'm here to be an emperor, not a crown prince. Why should I enter through the crown prince gate? Because you want to be emperor, you must first have the proper etiquette and authority. So he's already started making things difficult for him. He's not someone to be trifled with. So I'll just pass this difficult problem to you. So when official Yang heard this, he realized this kid is really tough to deal with. There's no other way. He said, isn't without reason, so let's just forget it. Just choose whichever door you want to go through. Going through the official Emperor's Gate. Impressive, right? And that's not over yet, so the power struggle starts even before the court session. The emperor is being bullied because he's young. So you see, today is the same with companies and their boards. The old chairman passed away and the new chairman is his son. Even if he's not 15 but 28 years old, all board members, those who serve the old chairman, won't buy what you're selling. So that is that official Yang Tianhe, the most powerful minister who held immense authority. Hundreds of officials below him were all appointed by him. Why do I say that? Don't forget that Emperor Zheng was doing all day long. He was just playing around, really, to an extreme. Things you couldn't even imagine he would actually do. He was just a mischievous child. He did accomplish many things that benefit people, but his love for play was too strong. Whenever Yang Tianhe made a move, it was like playing a black chess piece. They all said that now everyone play black chess piece. So when Yang Tianhe says to play a white piece, the whole world would be white pieces. Everyone listened to Yang Tianhe, not the emperor. Moreover, the previous emperor had already died. So whatever Yang Tianhe said, the official below would follow together. They even dared to collectively confront the emperor face to face. What is the percentage of people who spoke out? 98%. So Yang Tianhe said, Your Majesty, what you are doing is wrong. Everyone stood up and said, Your Majesty, what you are doing is wrong. Right there at the spot. For example, in a court today, if everyone like Yang Tianhe stands up and opposes, everyone else stand up and oppose as well. I will feel pressure being there today. So did the 15-year-old emperor feel pressure? Next, something happened. Yang Tianhe made a ruthless move. He had great power. The first move was to let you escape. Yang Tianhe then said, according to the rites, he said it deliberately. According to the rites and traditional culture, your parents are not emperor, you're just a prince. So you should recognize the empress as your father. The previous emperor was his cousin. I can't recognize my brother as my own parents, as my father, right? Therefore, you must recognize the parents of Emperor Zheng as your own parents. His parents have already passed away. So he called his father and mother uncle and auntie. That means he recognized his own biological father as an uncle. The uncle's wife is always called auntie. So in the north, we straightforwardly call her auntie, written in Chinese, aunt. So Yang Ting came up with this bad idea. It was to make the current Yang Jiajing emperor recognize his own father as an uncle and called his mother auntie. Recognize the previous emperor Zheng as his cousin. The cousin's parents were their biological parents. The young emperor was instantly furious. His hair stood on end. Nonsense! How could they bully people like that? Ridiculous. But there was no evidence to be found, because all officials, they will listen to Yang Tianhe. Yang Tianhe said, Your Majesty, you may choose not to listen, but there are still 300 court officials who wants to support you. I'll tell you the same thing again, whether you listen or not. The emperor got dizzy as soon as he heard it. This is no ordinary sheep. This is thieving, vicious sheep. "One day I'll kill you." But with such great power, he felt very threatened. He thought that maybe the women and concubines around me and the eunuchs serving me were all Ouyang's people because they were his informants, right? So he still don't dare to get angry. He didn't dare to curse in the palace. He could only curse in his heart, feeling anxious. After Yang Tianhe's action, this little emperor really couldn't do anything. This little emperor stood right in the courtroom, shouting loudly in the court, saying he wouldn't eat. And he had a fever. He was sick. He refused to attend court and wouldn't take responsibility. All kinds of things from a young child. The basic means used to carry out the resistance. To what extent did he resist? He resisted until Yang Tianhe withdrew his proposal, saying that I inherit the throne from my cousin, the legitimate emperor. Not only can I not call my cousin's parents my own parents, I also have to consider my own parents as the emperor. He even went so far as to say this: I believe a young man in the court using a young man, a human being, all kind of argumentative and tricky tactics. But it's escalated to this level. Either I won't attend court session or I won't carry out many of the ritual. You can choose someone else. In the end, even Yang Tianhe was forced to admit, this little trickster is so sly. We simply can't beat him. He's too cunning. Everyone knows that Yang Tianhe is bullying the young emperor. But the power these people were holding was granted to them by Yang Tianhe, so even though they know this, not a single upright gentleman dared to speak out. Some have even written letters to the emperor. Let me tell you about expressing myself correctly. Yang Tianhe assassinated me and threw me in prison. That's how it is. You can't even keep your life. So at a time like this, Zhang Cong, who has nothing to do in Nanjing, heard about this matter. And to think they will bully the emperor like this can't be allowed. I have to take action. I'm going to save the emperor. So immediately, he had a particular focus in his studies. What does he specialize in? He specializes in rites. So he looked it up online today during the Warring State and Spring and Autumn period, which was about 2,000 to 3,000 years ago. There were dedicated philosophers, Chinese philosophers, studying rites and the way. It wasn't just one or two people, but a very large group. Some seems almost enlightened, explaining these rites very clearly. Even the emperor's title were part of these rites. Why there is an empress as the main wife, why the crown prince is called the Eastern Palace, all comes from the Book of Rites. So why did the emperor have multiple wives and concubines? It all comes from ritual. Why did the minister kowtow to the emperor? It comes from ritual. It's all from this kind of book. Yang Tianhe could take the exam, and he was quite intelligent. So Yang Tianhe was a prodigy. He first passed the initial exam. Some candidate became scholar at just 13 or 14 years old. As for Zhang Cong, he only passed at 18. So at 21, Yang Tianhe already passed the palace exam. So Zhang Cong studied for 21 years, only managed to achieve third rank. So his exam intelligence level were vastly different. But this did not affect Zhang Cong's. When Zhang Cong heard this, he thought, this won't do. It's time for me to step up and save the emperor. So he insists on citing classics, quoting exactly which page of the Book of Rites said what. So to refute Yang Tianhe and to defend him. Yang Tianhe, one cannot call his own father uncle, but must instead address his father as emperor. This statement was brought over. And for an entire week straight, He pondered and wrote a very important letter, which he then sent to the emperor. It was also a coincidence that Yang Tianhe controlled all the letters sent to the emperor. It was just that day where Yang Tianhe was feeling unwell. Because this letter was personally addressed to the emperor, the eunuch delivered it, saw that Yang Tianhe hadn't come, and directly handed the letter to the emperor. The emperor was the first to read this letter. Upon opening it, he said, "Oh my heavens, I am safe. Finally, I found someone who understands me. All these days, no one has spoken in my favor." Reading this letter instantly lifted his spirit. Finally met someone who truly understands him. After that, he took this letter and talked to Yang Tianhe. Yang Tianhe and all these historical ancient works in this book of rites, all the theoretical foundations are based on it. So the young emperor's demands are all correct. And what Yang Tianhe said is all wrong. So the emperor said, "So, oh Yang, do you think Zhang Cong's letter makes sense? Clearly it does. Give me some advice." Yang Tianhe was stunned for a long time. Then tears streamed down his face and he kneeled to the ground and said, "Your Majesty, I should retire." The emperor was excited when he heard this and said, "Excellent, approve immediately. Leave the city at once. You don't even get a moment to breathe. But you resigned yourself, so don't blame me. Sending you out of this capital right away. I'm willing to give you 300 taels of silver. Hurry up and leave." So, I feel comfortable inside. I've been hoping you'll die for a long time. Once old Yang is gone, official Yang is gone too. Immediately he brought back Zhang Cong, the one who writes letter. Wasn't Yang Tianhe the one who promoted him? It's not that simple. They drove away our benefactor. That letter writing scorer will beat him to death with stakes. This year, if the emperor walks the path, just kill him. Coming up with such rotten idea. The one who comes with it was Yang Tianhe's son. He was also a high-ranking official at the time. Kill him on the spot. It is said that there's a certain stretch of road, historically known as a place where killing villains doesn't require punishment. But who can really tell who is villain or hero, right? So along the road, at least over 100 officials were buried there at the time. All of them just killed the bad guy there. You don't need to pay with your life. Zhang Cong's personality is a bit like mine. Not great at studying, but he learns everything. He studied military strategy. He said, "I once alarmed the emperor," and he was calculating there. He's definitely alarmed old Yang and his group of high officials. They will surely come after me. So Zhang Cong might have found a stand-in. Inquiring about the news, it turned out they wanted to kill him. So Zhang Cong entered the city at night, even wearing makeup to blend in. Less than a month later, he was directly promoted by the emperor to work by his side. Then a year later, he became one of the most powerful people close to the emperor. About 3 to 5 years later, he became a person with supreme power over the realm. However, his period of power, the peak of his authority, lasted for about 10 years. He rose to such a position of great power. So he started to think of Xiao Banxian. Those who wanted to harm him no longer dare to do so. Everyone begins to fear him. His power had grown significantly. He even had his own guards and bodyguards. So he remembers his benefactor, Xiao Banxian, the one who told him his fortune. He said, "I have to go back and pay him a visit." "Luckily, you warned me back then," he told him. "Otherwise, I would have really missed a great opportunity. I truly appreciate your timely reminder." So old Xiao has been polite. to him for quite a while. We are old friends, there's no need for formalities. Tell me, O Xiao, how do you know I will become someone with power in the future? O Xiao said, heaven's secret must not be revealed. Let's take our time and talk slowly, no rush. Xiao Banxian drank some wine and revealed a little. You know, it's all about past life. You are an orphan. Besides, it must not be revealed. But in the end, during those 5 to 6 hours, he told him the whole story. It turns out, Zhang Cong from his previous life, just before this, in the life before, was an orphan in a village. No one knows who his parents were. He was very young, no memories. From the time he had memories, he was always alone. He lived in the center of the village. Not at the center, but at the village entrance, outside the village. Next to the main road, there's a small rural shed. It's a little hut used by farmers in the countryside, not a proper house. So he grew melons. So sometimes he has food, sometimes he doesn't. He's very short. By today's standard, he's probably about 1.45 meters tall. Short is also unattractive in appearance. His back is slightly hunched. His intelligence isn't that great. So not a single girl would love him. So one day, Zhang Cong from his past life saw someone walking over a monk to beg for alms. So the monk was begging. When he walked, it clinged aloud on the ground. Everyone knows the monk was coming. And because people in this village follow Taoism, they believe in Taoist faith, not Buddhism. So whenever a Buddhist monk comes, what happened? No one support. No one offers support. This child neglected by everyone in the village. He seems to have a sense of happiness seeing this monk walking from a long distance under the blazing sun. He looked both tired and hungry. So you see, if he hasn't eaten, he struggled with a shallow and thin face. None of all seeing this monk starve badly. No one gave him money. No one gives him food to eat. This child with a heart full of compassion said, I want to give him some delicious food. Look, I've cooked 2 sweet potatoes. But he thought, oh no, but I'm so ugly and dirty. I wonder if the person offering alms would despise me. Regardless of that, it depends on whether he will come to my door. So that the person passing through the village he must go through this intersection. Then he will walk to the next village. So he came over, he said, Master, I want to offer you my support. The master was starving and said, all right, look, I just cooked 2 sweet potatoes. These 2 are all for you. The master was also starving and said, okay. Eat them. So the master left without looking back. Actually, this kid, Zhang Cong, still felt a sense of happiness. He said, wow, I'm so dirty and smelly. I offer alms to this great monk, and he actually ate it. I'm so happy. If I have the chance, I will offer alms again. Several times, about more than 10 times. So he offered, and around the 10th or 11th time, this little Zhang Cong felt ill. He was so sick, barely hanging on. So the begging master also came to their village. But no one offered alms, so he rushed straight at Zhang Cong. Zhang Cong was lying in his little hut. The master came to ask him, I heard you fell ill. Little Zhang Cong said, yeah, I feel like my time is running out. Can I still offer a meal one more time? The master said, of course. What else do you have to offer? Zhang Cong said there was still half a steamed bun covered in a bowl. The master said, I gladly accept. The child crawled over and offered half a steamed bun. The master then asked him, "Child, you always offer me. Do you have any thoughts, requests, or expect any reward?" The child shook his head and said, "No, I just feel very happy." After that, Zhang Cong from the past life passed away. Please remember the number of times he offered for the 11th time without asking for anything in return. So Zhang Cong in this life, during the reign of Emperor Jiajing, was the most powerful high official for 10 years. He became the most influential people of that era. So Xiao Banxian said, "The merit you earn from offering to monks in your past life, because of your previous karma, your intelligence, simply can't compare to that of other students. If we rank by intelligence, the best you could achieve is a county magistrate. But your merit from offering to monks was selfless and without expectation. So you became the most authoritative figure in the era of the Jiajing Emperor." The core theory of Buddhism is very scientific and fair. The Buddha taught us this very scientific and fair principle. He told us that our faith in this life may be the manifestation of cause and effect. After attaining enlightenment, the Buddha said, "I will reveal the truth to everyone." What is the truth? It is the law of cause and effect. You reap what you sow. The kind of seed you plant is the kind of fruit you will harvest. That sounds very reasonable, doesn't it? So look at spring in March or April when you plant certain seeds. 3 or 5 months later, when they mature, you see exactly what kind of fruits has grown. So there are a few more things to mention if planting for 3 years doesn't work, for example. If I want to plant a tree, may I ask how many years does it take to get apples from an apple tree? Who knows? From what I know about small apple tree, they can bear fruit in as fast as 3 years. They just don't produce that many, but they will still produce small apples. On average, it might take 4 or 5 years or more before they start producing apples. But if you don't cut down an apple tree, it can grow for decades without any problem. So this is a tree. Also, if it's not a fruit tree and I wanted to plant a tree for timber in the future, once it grows into a towering tree, I can use it as pillars and beams when building a house. How many years does that take? Usually about 20 years for most trees. As long as it's not an excessively hard wood, it's feasible. Look, this span is 20 years. Rosewood span over 100 or even 100 years. This means our cause and effect, like sowing and reaping, ranges from a few months to several years to several decades to several centuries. Life is short. Life lasts only about 180 years at most. So if you want good results in the future, what kind of things are you going to do now? In other words, what kind of seeds are you starting to plant now? Plant good seeds and you will reap good fruits in the future. Many people are born into very poor families. Some are born into extremely wealthy and prestigious families. Some are born with handsome and dignified appearance. Others are born without good health or looks, especially when they grow from a few years old into their teens. That's when the ability to make judgment begins. Like, why is my family not as good as theirs? Why is their dad more capable than mine? Their family has more money while we remain poor. They have... Especially for girls, they start comparing. I'm poor and on top of that, I'm ugly. Why is that? I haven't done anything wrong. I'm just a little baby, a tiny infant. What bad things could I have possibly done? Don't you think so? But according to the law of cause and effect, it could be from a past life. For example, during the Buddha's birthday celebration, it is often said in Buddhism that if you offer flowers before the Buddha, you will receive a beautiful and dignified appearance. Of course, this is just a saying. If you often kidnap and kill others for no reason, but then you offer a flower during the Buddha's birthday, will you become handsome and beautiful in the future? No, definitely not. Here he's referring to an ordinary person, an ordinary farmer, just a regular person. Not that bad, but still with inner greed, anger, ignorance, pride, and doubts. However, if once at the Dharma assembly you offer a flower to the Buddha, why is it that in meditation center in North America, we offer flowers to the Buddha? It only costs a few dollars, giving everyone a chance to at least earn the Buddha's joy. To be able to care for someone like that, and to have such a sense of respect. I want to protect them. So from the moment we were born, we already have many differences. This difference aren't because of what you did in this life, but because you were born less fortunate than others in this life. This is already a result from birth. So when was a seed for this planted? It was probably in the past life or even earlier. It's like a person constantly accumulating points. For example, you have exercised this month, but you haven't exercised, then this month counts as 0. If you have exercised, it gets recorded in total. For some fitness game track, how many calories you have burned, how much fat you have consumed, and how much energy you have gained, whether it's accurate or not. It keeps a record for you. That's how life works. Between the accumulation of your merits and demerits, there are always certain records kept. When greed arises and you harm others, that is another record. Sometimes when your greed arises and you hurt someone, you yourself might even not realize it, right? You and that person may have a brief encounter. The chain reaction of side effect it triggers, you may not be aware of them, but all manifestation of fate and a manifestation of karma. I hope everyone can read more about this. Therefore, our action is extremely important. Let me remind you again, a single kind thought through compassion is so important. Put compassion into your own heart, then the destiny of our life will undergo a profound transformation. Let's not even talk about cultivating for the next life yet. Just in this life, for ourselves, whether it's physical health, mental well-being, or higher states, and also the positive influence on our family and children. It should be a tremendous help. Some destined outcomes, especially those involve great disasters and calamities, are predetermined. Then you might argue or call it a scientific discussion, asking whether this inevitable disaster can be changed. The answer is yes, it can. The Buddha said, if you know the future outcome, things that have not yet happened, what you do now is crucial. If you adjust and correct your mindset, the result will definitely change. But if you become worse than you are now, bad things will come faster and be even greater. So even the most basic compassion and kindness, if you cannot transform them, your destiny will not change. This is something we must begin to understand. The Buddha teaches on cause and effect is extremely fair in this way. The good and bad things you do will definitely result in fair consequences. If your heart holds kindness, you will receive good results in the future. This is cause and effect. It's very fair. Everything in this world is fair.
就越明白老天非常的公平。
The more you understand, the
这个
more
故事送给大家。
you will know how fair it is. If your heart, you receive results, because our actions are guided by your spirit. Okay.
在茫茫人海之中，让我与您相遇。小小的红点里，人生就此欢喜。我快乐了，我健康了，我幸福了，我美丽了。在茫茫人海之中，让我与你相遇。小小的红点里，人生变得神奇。